Senna anymore, but we'll have to wait and see as the draft comes on through. Ezreal going to be locked in for Smlz. And then, I mean, Viego could well be an option. The Graves being hovered by Beishang. It's one of his old classics. It's one of his old favorites, but I don't necessarily anticipate it being locked in.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Beichuan play the Graves twice, but we haven't really seen Beishang. They will go for that Viego in the end. We'll see what TT offer here. I personally don't like the Tahm here. Looks like they're going to lean towards it because it allows W to basically pick pretty much anything in the support role. This is such a, the Tahm is very good at neutralizing aggressive picks, but WE can pick, like, you can even pick Yuumi in this situation and be quite comfortable. We'll see what they end up opting for. Something to note is they've gone for the Gwen here. So now for WE, if you want to match top lane, you have to pick it now and leave your support till the second rotation. They instead opt for the support. They go for that Karma, that strong lane. That means TT can now ban away top lane counters, whereas WE, I expect bans towards the jungle.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to be taken away so Beishang can have a safe start to things. Zhao could be an option. Lee Sin. No! Yone being banned away by WE. Not a ban I expect to see today. Not a pick I expect to see today. Any thoughts, Hawks?
I mean, I've seen a little bit of Yone. Obviously, pairs well if you go for an AP jungler, which there are a couple flying around the meta that we haven't really seen in the LPL. But also, there can be some matchups that are rough into the Yone where he can aggress onto them. Things like Azir and Corki can have a bad time into the Yone. So could potentially be WE setting up for a mid lane pick on 4 that they wouldn't want to deal with that extra threat.
TF ban would usually lead me to thinking something like a LeBlanc could come on through here. I don't really know the LeBlanc-Yone matchup myself personally, but I'll have to wait and see where Xie is going to go in that mid lane. The Corki taken off of the board in the end. Galio is still available, something we've seen plenty of over the course of the last few weeks, and certainly saw it succeed earlier on today. But we'll see where Xie opts to go.
Yeah, bear in mind, Gwen, typically top lane. We've pretty much exclusively seen it there. It can still be flexed to jungle, which means there is a little bit of hesitation for WE on this one. They are just going to go for a safe blind top laner. I mean, not blind, it's counter to it. Well, not, I don't really think like it's a great counter to Gwen. They'll pick it into the Gwen. But this obviously means that they expect the Gwen to be in the top lane. We'll see what TT opt for and if they're going to secure that pick going over there as we expect.
Let's see where TT are going to go for Ucal here. Hovering the Azir for a second after banning the Corki as well, but I think maybe a little afraid that WE have something up their sleeves in terms of the counter pick. And now just hovering that Ahri. That has been the standard mid laner, I would say, so far this split in the LPL. Everybody's playing it, and it is that kind of facilitator role from the mid lane. So Ahri locked in for Ucal. Now we just need a jungler.
Yeah, I mean, there's still the Graves open available. The Xin Zhao. I actually like this. Xin Zhao and Gwen was that combo we saw when both were super dominant. The Venn diagram of you can't do anything, very effective. And we'll see what WE up to answer. They all have counter pick mid. Lissandra is the pick we've seen come out. And actually, I love Lissandra Viego. The fact you get the Frozen Thralls and the Viego reset, really powerful in skirmishes. And also quite effective against the likes of Gwen and Xin Zhao, because you can like claw into close range, lock them down, and then your team just follow up and you kill them. You just disregard the fact that they have those invulnerabilities against longer ranged attacks.
Yeah, here we go then. Composition's locked in. Dan, how are you feeling about things? Because I feel like, strong lane in the bottom side for WE. They've got their choice of counter to Gwen up in the top side. They've got the counter pick mid as well. Feeling like laning-wise, it's looking pretty nice for WE.
Yeah, I think WE are comfortable in the laning phase. I think they should be able to come out with an advantage. You have 3 lanes that should be favored. Bot lane's going to be able to poke them out. Top lane, you have the range advantage in the Gwen. And mid, we've seen this as a counter matchup. But I do feel like as the game goes on, if you don't close things out in that mid game, you will start to struggle. I think mid game is where the composition hits the stride. After that, it's going to start to trend downwards, and that's when you can start to lose out to the enemy team's scaling.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the scaling is going to come online, how quick the pace of the game will be in our second series. Because that's the thing. The first series today, much slower pace than what we saw on 12-10. I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling with the patch numbers. I keep on saying 11-10 or 11-12 or instead of 12-11. Anyway, I don't know. The seasons seem to just fly by me. I don't know if I'm just getting old, but I still keep on forgetting that it's season 12. I know what it is. I know deep down.
Well,
but yeah,
I think what's interesting
we've seen the gameplay slow down is what I'm trying to say.
I think what's interesting is you'd expect to be faster. With the outer towers nerfed, I think this might just be indicative of these teams. We still have some very aggressive teams. We do have some teams taking it slower. My thought process was with towers nerfed, we'd see more pace, but it remains to be seen what's coming out. Ultimately, though, will be about setting that pace with this Viego Lissandra. It will be about WE wanting to push the game onwards and TT able to take it a little bit slower.
Puff gets the ward down. It will be cleared. Smlz the one to grab that CS. So, a little unfortunate for W. I thought they were maybe going to find a pick there. I thought they were going to find an opportunity, but won't be the case. Puff wards them out, spots them, and it'll deny any level 1 shenanigans. But I like the proactivity straight off the bat here from WE.
Yeah, something to talk about quickly is the changes we saw to Senna Tahm. Senna did get buffs to AD carry soul rate, but this is going to be fasting Senna, so not much to talk about. But she did get her Q nerfed a bit. The slow on it is down. The slow duration is down early. But in the counterpoint is that Tahm Kench got buffed. You know, his passive now does more damage. The healing on his Q is higher. The shield strength on his R is higher, which is ridiculous because his R already, the shield is insane. So, but you know, it kind of feels like they nerfed Senna a bit, but they buffed Tahm. So the lane is kind of still in a decent spot. But either way, I think one thing to note for me with this Tahm Kench pick is, like, we talk about Viego, one of those resets, Lissandra as well. If Tahm Kench eats the person who goes low, it's so hard to get a reset because the shield is obscene. At level 6, Joe, it's a 650 health shield. That's just the base shield.
It's not
like,
bad.
how are you going to cut through that at level 6, realistically, unless you have, like, all 5 members pumping damage into it?
It's impossible, honestly. It's such a difficult ability to play around at that level 6 mark. But that said, I think Smlz and Heal, not necessarily going to be looking for an all-in, more just looking to slowly but surely bully the TT bottom lane, the old IG bottom lane, out of lane. This Ezreal Karma has so much poke, and it's not necessarily just about upfront damage in that way, and much more about just slowly but surely whittling you out. And yes, what a sustain on the Senna Tahm Kench lane, especially if Kench is the one taking that harass. But that'll be the question, really. Does the harassment or does the sustain?
Yeah, and I think a big thing is landing sustain onto the Senna can make a big difference because Senna can heal both her and the Tahm, but Tom's great health conversion only applies to himself. Tom's heal and his Q only applies to himself, and he also runs Doran's shield and second wind, so you know, you see here, heal lands a bit of damage in the Southwind, he'll just heal it up so easily.
Xie could be in trouble in the mid lane here. Beichuan going for it, but Xie gets that glacial path, gets himself out to safety. So nicely done there. Will survive the play. It's just going to be... I'm kind of surprised to see how long Beichuan stayed in that mid lane. Just a guaranteed priority there. Guarantee that the wave is pushed in.
Yeah, allows Ucal to crash here and then move with him to secure this scuttle. And potentially even go for a reset. Maybe pick up a Dark Seal or something along those lines. Either way, I think they could have been more aggressive if they want to go for the gank there. We could have seen a Charm Flash from Ucal, but ultimately ends up just trying for the play, chunking Xie out, taking the prio. It is going to be the Spellbook Ahri with TP, so we often see into Lissandra the Ahri will either take Cleanse or take Spellbook to have Cleanse available at some point. With this iteration, you're going to have Cleanse up less often, and it'll be really important when you do have it for the Lissandra to factor in, because that is essentially how you're going to kill the Ahri. And when you look at the composition of WE, Lissandra's the only one who really poses a major threat to this Ahri.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like if you can get that lockdown, you know, Ahri's going to just die. But with that cleanse, if it's used correctly, in conjunction with a Spirit Rush to get back into a safer position, can be crucial in those team fights. As XiaoXiang not having a fun time of it to start off, but actually doing very well in terms of the CS department.
And I think that's the thing is that, you know, yes, TT bot lane's been pushing a tower. Mid lane is doing fine, but top lane, you can see, has been pushed back a bit and chunked out. This CS number is complete fine across the board. Even Tahm Kench, who's a melee champion into a double range bot lane, there's only a little bit of farm down and should be able to pick this up with the wave that's coming in. You can see there.
Where's Smlz having to arcane shift away there? And I will say, you know, we talked about the poke versus the sustain. So far, the sustain is definitely winning in this bottom side.
For sure. I mean, it feels like every 3 good trades for WE, TT's bot lane only need 1 good trade, and they've actually matched in terms of health. And the fact that Tom's are now ahead in CS compared to the Ezreal, not the sort of laning prowess we're hoping for WE to have success here, but I have to say there's still a lot of strength in the mid game they can lean towards, and particularly the skirmishing. I'm looking at Beishang in those skirmishes. If they can play well around those, that's where we can potentially see a window for them in this game.
Yeah, we'll see if they do find that window, whether or not they utilize that window as well. Fairly quiet start, but with Drake up, potential opportunity as Beishang moves in. You can see the resets from the bottom lane of TT. This should mean that WE grabbed that Drake with no contest whatsoever. TT doesn't look like they're going to look for anything else on the map for the time being. It's just leaving Beichuan continuing with his clear up towards the top side, but actually no camps up on the top side right now.
Yeah, and a ward down for the Gnar, so may just go for that respawn in the scuttle and pick that one up in return. Early dragon, though, really good for WE. You know, with the composition that spikes, as we've talked about when it does, you want to be secure in those early dragons now. Xie looked like he was in trouble, still has flash and ult, so TT won't chase further, and Beichuan does just pick up that skull crab.
He certainly does. Grabs that for himself. XiaoXiang getting chased out here by BiuBiu. I wasn't sure if BiuBiu was just going to keep going for that one, because Beichuan was in the area. It would have been dangerous if BiuBiu kept going. And, you know, BiuBiu, across his career, has been one of these top laners that when he has good games, he really, really pops off. But feels like the consistency has been an issue for him, and his high's not as high as some of the other top laners in the LPL. So feels like a player that you do always have to keep a weather eye on, because sometimes it goes a little too deep.
Yeah, and I think in this game, you know, it's easy to try and find opportunities to the Gnar and then end up not catching people out. The fact that there's Tahm, Kench can eat people up, the Ahri very mobile. Not the easiest job when it comes to team fights. And obviously this Gwen eventually is going to just outscale you and outperform you in terms of relevance. But for the time being, seems to be doing fine. That's kind of just the state of the game at the moment. And I look towards this Herald in a minute. See if we can find some... Oh.
Bit of an all-in on the bottom side. Smlz actually going to be rooted as well. The flash forwards. One more auto, and SouthWind gets the kill. The sustain wins out after all. And Puff and SouthWind looking good in the 2v2.
Yeah, that should not be happening. And ultimately, Smlz should never get hit by a Tahm Kench W ever, period. Unless Senna hits the W first. But you have an arcane shift. That's like the thing with Ezreal. It's so hard to connect this telegraphed knock-up from Tahm. And yeah, Smlz just let her hit him. So, pretty big misplay there. Ends up burning the flash and still goes down. And it just means Puff and SouthWind get the opportunity to pick up a plate here.
Yeah, very nicely done by Puff and SouthWind. Potentially going to get a plate. I think they're just going to go for the reset, though. And maybe some bonus souls as well for Puff on the back of all of that. But nicely done. And the center Tahm Kench, it's not a lane that you lock in to win lane, you know? This is not a situation that W should be finding themselves in.
Yeah, and you saw Smlz do like a little back and forth wiggle. I'm assuming the arcane shift must have been on cooldown, but either way, gets caught by the W.
He must have thought that he was out of the circle, right? It looked like he was on the edge. I think he must have thought he was actually positioned
something
safely,
along those lines.
Misjudging it, ultimately.
But either way, what worked out great is Puff flashes forward for the W, and it hits the minions, so it still roots him. So he still ends up going down. Still gets caught by that root, but yeah, just... I don't know, really questionable from Smlz, but ultimately a good punish coming out from TT. And now they found the priority to swap their bot lane up the top. They will get this Herald uncontested. The return trade for W is they're going to pick up some plates. You know, one mid, maybe get one in the bot lane. It does even out. Like when people talk about Herald is worth like 2 plates guaranteed. I'm sure TT are hoping to get a lot more than just 2 plates off the back of this.
Yeah, W able to get at least a couple of plates down to the bottom side. And their Herald is going to be the next question, right? Where does Beichuan try and put that? Because, like you say, it's got to answer now for this gold that's being injected into SMLZ's pocket down to the bottom side. One of the weird things about casting a region like the LPL where the players don't speak English is the way that we say the names, isn't it? Like, the fact that I say SMLZ, I don't say Z. Z is an American letter. I say Z, but SMLZ just sounds weird, you know?
Yeah. The things we do.
Okay. Moving on then. Sorry to have burdened you with that conversation there, Aux.
I didn't know where to go with it. I was trying to think of some names where I'm like, that applies. I'm like, nah, I don't have any, you know? SMLZ, that's what you got, right?
Yep. I guess that's what we got. BiuBiu get a bit of damage under the tower as we just swiftly move on.
I guarantee there's some people watching this who think we hate each other, which is true, but try not to show it.
Yeah. We're just not doing a very good job. Drake coming up in 30 seconds. My old nemesis. What do you reckon? Oh, no!
There's
Again!
No way!
Smlz, man! Use your E. Use it before you get knocked up.
Yeah, well, now Ucal's coming in. They should get out of this one, but they're just zoned off the tower. Oh.
Oh, the flash charm comes
Beautiful.
through and a Dawning Shadow as well. Very nicely done by TT. We asked where the Herald was going to go. It's going to go down in this bottom lane. And not only will that be the first tower of the game taken, it'll also be a Drake on top. Everything looking beautiful for TT.
Yeah, we see all in top.
Yeah, XiaoXiang wants a little bit more here. Needlework coming on through. The W a tiny bit too late. And one more snip, but a good flash from BiuBiu. Now a bit of trade damage back. Tower shots coming on in. Can BiuBiu actually turn this one around? One or two more autos will do the trick. A Q, a boomerang, anything, and BiuBiu grabs himself the solo kill.
Yeah, not the best play there. And we see WE still trying to contest this dragon. This is risky for them.
Oh, the dragon goes down. It's taken by Beichuan as TT trying to regroup, trying to escape. Beichuan eaten by SouthWind and actually survives. They get the Drake and they get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, they got what they wanted. WE will find Prio on mid lane. They could head towards it and try and get some damage down, but it looks like the team's just going to split off. Smlz's heading bot to pick up the waves, so just a nice advantage from TT found there. This is kind of criminal from Smlz, the fact that this connects here. Heal even helps him out, walks away with a root so it doesn't connect. And as much as it's enough to get away for the initial play, Ucal then coming in. Really nice charm flash here. Not much you can do. And the fact that they have the Dawning Shadow on top to guarantee the kill. Really well played.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't it? I mean, this one, XiaoXiang thought he had the all-in, but the flash at the end from BiuBiu is really what seals it. XiaoXiang maybe going a little overzealous with the dive.
Yeah, I think he was determined to like burn the flash here, but then ends up dashing into tower, and importantly enough, doesn't auto. Because the thing is with your E is, I know they nerfed the refund, but you get a refund with the auto. The fact he wasn't able to auto anything, the cooldown was super long, and Gnar just runs him down.
4-player invade from TT here. This is going to be Beishang just bullied out of his jungle. SouthWind and Puff move to the mid lane. You can see XiaoXiang has been sent to the bottom side of the map. And then we've got the Ahri from Ucal up in that top lane. So a bit of a rejig in terms of where everyone is on the map. But look at this from WE. They want to go for XiaoXiang on the bottom side. You see Lissandra's here from Xie. You see Beishang moving down as well. But with the wave cleared, I don't know if they'll really find a chance.
Yeah, I mean, XiaoXiang's doing a good job to try and mitigate on this side. But the problem is that I don't feel like TT are going to be able to get much more pressure mid. Lissandra can just basically take out the waves quickly, so... We'll see if TT do anything to try and help out XiaoXiang, because you don't really want to leave him just playing 1v2, even 1v3 in this lane, because you will eventually just get the tower chipped more and more.
Certainly will. XiaoXiang does not like this lane matchup. You can see it before your eyes. Even Gwen, even when you're immune, you still can't match up in that 2v1 against that level of poke. But Puff is here. XiaoXiang actually opting to stay for the time being, as SouthWind is in the mid lane, and we've got the Senna Gwen combo down in the bottom side.
That sounds pretty broken, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Puff moving around, picking up souls, adding that support where needed, and obviously the Tahm can just farm wherever. I will note, something I hit on earlier was the fact that you get more souls than before for taking CS. I think there's more opportunity for Puff to start picking up farm later on, especially if he's in a lane with like SouthWind. I don't think you want to be stealing farm from the Gwen, but definitely opportunity for that. And we have seen the Umbral Glaive come out for Puff. Definitely going to make controlling areas quite difficult for WE going up against that one.
Yeah, it certainly will. Whether or not they can control the areas. I mean, WE feels like they have the kind of composition that if they're in position first, like they have so much like snap decision-making power with their Gnar, with their Lissandra, Viego to follow up on those engages. Like, feels like if they can control the areas, they'll be in a really, really good spot. But might be difficult for them to move in because they don't have anyone that's that great at base checking aside from the Gnar if he's in Mega, but you've got to time that.
Yeah, this is one of the issues with having these enchanter supports. The reason why they've been struggling to find funding in the meta is you kind of need a phase check to ward, and enchanters like Karma do struggle at that. Whereas on the other side, as much as Senna has to be the one that plays the wards. Tahm can just walk with you. He can gobble you out if you get into a difficult situation. And I feel like the fact that we're going into this mid game, 50 minutes on the clock, gold is pretty much even, slightly favored to TT, and TT picking up that second Herald. WE not quite in the position they want to be for this game.
Yeah. It's just a 300 gold lead at the 15-minute mark. Very, very slow start to things here as coming into the mid lane from SouthWind. Ucal forces a flash, but the charm hits anyway. Smlz flashing out, but heal getting predicted on his flash, and now Herald down in the mid lane.
That was so good. I just didn't think it was coming, and apparently heal didn't either. Ucal catches him out, and after a questionable performance against LNG, Ucal has really stepped up so far this game.
Yeah, good stuff. 1-on-1. Another charm landing. Beishang getting punished for his position. Devour comes on through. Ucal will have charm again in a second here. Dawning Shadow over. Ucal flashes forward. And what a game from the man who, let's be honest, he's had a rough entry into the LPL over the last year.
Absolutely. A lot of criticism towards him, but this game so far on this Ahri, 16 minutes in, he has not put a single foot wrong. And now, TT going to be able to secure that second dragon for themselves. WE, this is when they're at their peak, right? Smlz just picked up the man immune. This is the big Ezreal spike you're looking towards. The fact that they are now looking at a soul, which earliest in the game will be like 32 minutes. They're down in gold. It's not looking too positive. We're going to replay this fantastic charm coming out from Ucal.
Yeah, so goes for it. And it looks... I think he was actually aiming for... Oh, no. I'll be totally honest. I don't know if that was genius from Ucal or he'll just not really reading the situation.
You know, we've been very critical today. I'm going to say, Joe, let's go on... on the side of positivity. That was a great
absolute
predict.
god. What a play. Basically Chobi at this point.
Got two flashes with one charm and got the kill.
He did. Yeah, he did. 2 flashes, 1 charm that also connects the CC. Not too shabby. And interestingly, ever since that Everfrost nerf, we're seeing a Leandris now coming out from Ucal on the Ahri. He's also got a Dark Seal with 5 stacks on. He's definitely in a good position to take over this game.
Yeah, not as bursty as something like the Ludens or even the Everfrost. You obviously get that active damage coming in, but the burn damage having a lot of value in these longer fights. And the mythic passive of Leandris is that ability haste, so you get a lot of value of getting more charms off in those extended fights.
Yeah, you certainly do. BiuBiu trying to get pressure down, wants to finish this tower off. A couple more autos will do the trick. XiaoXiang, I think, realizing this ain't a fight that he wants anymore. BiuBiu will be able to finish that one off. That'll be the second tower for WE. That makes it 2 apiece now. Gold's still reasonably even, but typically Senna teams will be naturally a little behind in gold. So it feels like that's probably positive for TT if the gold is even.
I think they're in a fantastic spot, honestly. As you said, ahead in gold, and the Senna who gets so much extra value from those souls. This is just smooth sailing, and it feels like WE. You know, this Viego Lissandra, this combo I hit on so heavily, being like, wow, fantastic in skirmishes, kill one target, get the resets. It's a 0-1-0 Viego and a 0-0-0 Lissandra. They just haven't found anything. They haven't found the skirmishes they want. They haven't found the opportunities. Viego's got a single possess. Not exactly the way they wanted this game to go. And I feel like time is starting to tick away. What they can do is Dragon in 2 minutes 45. They're still on their 2-item spike, which is a great spot for the Ezreal. You kind of need to win that fight and then transition it into a Baron. That is how you sort of get this game back in your favor. Because I think if it keeps continuing at this pace, WE going to run out of time very quickly.
Yeah, they're on a ticking timer here, and it doesn't feel like it's a good one for them right now. And you say, like, you know, they haven't really found any picks, they haven't found any resets. I feel like you have to look for them to find them. You know, I'm not even sure they've been looking for these picks or resets. Like, it's been a very quiet game from WE. You know, Smlz getting caught out a couple of times during the laning phase, which was not great for them, but that's basically all that's happened. And even the kill from BiuBiu up top, realistically, that was a reactionary play. That was XiaoXiang diving him and him being able to capitalize on the mistake of his opponent. Feels like a very, very slow, very cautious game from WE. As now we can see 2 items as well finished in the mid lane. XiaoXiang going for an all-in on the mini Gnar here, but won't be able to find his opportunity.
Yeah, struggling really in this matchup before the Nash's Tooth now. Beichuan was looking, might be collapsed on.
We said we wanted them to find these picks. Well, they're looking now. Beichuan flashes over the wall. Here's SouthWind, though. W's in, flashes straight out.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here, I'm helping. Nope, never mind. And BiuBiu will TP top to defend that tier 2. I'm glad we're finally seeing some aggression come out from WE. And as much as they don't get a kill, SouthWind and Beichuan now both flashless. XiaoXiang ghostless, and those won't be up for that dragon fight. And chipping away at those summoners can be really important. Beishang's ult will be up again for that objective, so just these little things can make a difference when it comes to those fights.
They certainly can, as Puff just grabbing soul after soul. 72 souls at this point. Doing decent in that regard. Once you get towards kind of 100, that seems to be the big breaking point where you start to get towards that late game Senna that's just a monster to deal with. Oh, I can't believe that ward wasn't spotted by the sweeper. That must have been a millimeter away.
Close one. I'm now 30 seconds until that dragon, Joe.
Yeah,
this is the moment I feel like WE has to win this fight. They have to come out in favor here.
They certainly do. WE trying to group up, push forward, but SouthWind is pretty difficult to deal with his frozen fist. And it means now that TT can group up in the river. You can see XiaoXiang trying to buy space to the bottom side. Charm goes wide, Beishang gets rooted. Xie in onto SouthWind. Not the greatest target, really, as Beichuan moves forward as well. WE have made an attempt of an engage there, but that's about it from them. They don't have much follow-up. Smlz going forward with a bit of damage. Now, TT onto the Drake. Look at XiaoXiang behind enemy lines. Root comes out. Mini Gnar about to happen for BiuBiu. And that's not a good time to fight for WE. Ucal getting ready over the wall. Spirit rush in. Xie the target. Turns gold. It's a good charm onto BiuBiu, who is in that Mini Gnar. Spirit rush is there. Dawning Shadow as well. Ucal over the wall. Flashes to finish off BiuBiu. The burn will get it as the rest of the team are taking WE apart here. And Ucal finds yet another charm. And it has to be said, Ucal having the game of his LPL career so far.
Fantastic performance from him. They can turn straight on the Baron. No jungler. Confident to make this play. The only way they get this is with the steal from Smlz, but they have no vision in the pit. And that was nowhere near close. So this should be TT. Get the dragon, get the Baron. Everything WE wanted. Now in the hands of their opponent.
I'm not gonna lie, observers turned the vision off there. I was real nervous that that was gonna be a karma steal. Let's take another look. Just very nicely played by TT. Playing it patient, waiting for Mini Gnar.
Yeah, that was the main thing. They didn't let BiuBiu get value out of the Mega Gnar, and then they picked this window to re-engage. Ucal threatening Xie, but gets the charm onto BiuBiu, and the solo laners, WE, instantly chunked out, have to back away. WE know this isn't a fight they're gonna win. And they just end up running for the hills. Dragon already gone, not an option. Beishang not able to get out. And for this composition, this combo that I said, the resets coming in for Viego, Lissandra, once more didn't see any of it. And I think at this point, TT just feels super confident. Have Baron in hand to start to push up and be aggressive. They can just pick up even more gold from these structures.
Certainly can. They've got a, 3,000 gold lead. 3 Drakes for themselves. Now with the Baron, they can start to pressure. You can see the Ucal moving down towards that bottom side of XiaoXiang. Matches the top side, will catch that massive wave that BiuBiu is pushing towards the tower there. And will happily sweep up that CS. And then can start to pressure on the top side as well. You could even go for a 1-3-1, honestly, with this comp if you fancy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is, like, you kind of get a pushing wave set up, and then you can, like, rotate over to apply the pressure. Looks like here that they're just trying to apply pressure in 2 lanes at once. So they'll end up getting pressure on this mid lane tower and the bot lane one. You even see XiaoXiang wasn't even showing, so given the semblance that he could be there to back up. The only thing you're concerned about right now for TT is if WE look for an engage window. They have kind of got these 3 lanes of pressure going now.
Yeah, I think XiaoXiang did show. I think he was clearing a control ward there in the jungle. So
okay.
I think they did have vision, but regardless, he has TP, right? So he can always make his way over to the fight. The 1-3-1 we talked about now in full effect, and WE have to find something, but the Claw of Doom from Xie, not going to be that, but there's a more.
Look at that shield!
Tahm Kench.
I mean, it's the fact that he's already pulling him out of danger, and then the shield is just ridiculous. Like, this is why it's so hard for WE. It's so hard to find this engage window. It's incredibly difficult, and I feel like the comp is just going to struggle. You have to be killing Puff, and that's just not possible as long as SouthWind is next to him with the ult available. You can't burn damage on a SouthWind because he is a frog, and he's a big frog at that.
Yeah, it's actually a catfish, I will say. Well, he's a river demon more than anything.
I've heard stories, you know.
That's one of the weirdest things to me. I mean, you can unload the toad at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's one of the weirdest things that he clearly is a catfish. He's been mentioned as a catfish. He looks a bit fishy, but everyone just agrees he's a frog. It's kind of like in Elden Ring. Everyone agrees the turtles are dogs. That's just the way it is.
You know, if enough people say it, then surely it must be true.
That's true. That's how politics works. So XiaoXiang gonna charge at BiuBiu here. And I don't know if this was one BiuBiu could survive. Here's a TP coming out from Xie to try and save his mini Gnar. But it's going to be too little too late. And now with the Dawning Shadow there, Xie might just be in trouble as well. And Ucal can chase him down. There's the cleanse from the spellbook that you talked about before. But all 3 Spirit Rushes are used. But heal. He's going to be devoured. He's going to be going down. And it's going to be 8-1 for TT. And honestly, it doesn't feel like WE have existed this game.
Yeah, and you know how we talked about those resets, how they're struggling to get them? There's a Mountain Soul in 40 seconds. No one is going to be even close to dying ever once TT secure this one. It is really looking desperate. The Gwen has hit the point where she's just massacring the Gnar on the side lane. Even with Force of Nature, even with BiuBiu doing a good job of sidestepping these ults, it just doesn't matter. He just walks at you.
Yep. XiaoXiang just charging BiuBiu down. And in the meantime, Smlz's been caught again with Flash Up. I don't know what happened, but I'm pretty sure that's not how Ezreal is meant to work. Smlz having a
Oh my god, look at all the souls.
look at all the souls.
Go, Pup, go.
And anyone who's played Senna just got really excited for a second there at the amount of souls that just popped out. This is going to be game, I'm pretty sure. As they find another knock-up, they'll find damage onto BiuBiu. And with another pick, with another mountain of souls pouring out of this one, Puff's going to be over the moon. It's a 12-1 slow and steady win for TT. Easy as you like. A clean win and a much needed win on the board. It's 1 out of the 2 they need for it to stay on the scoreboard. But it's certainly the first step on the path.
And it just feels like WE didn't even get a look in. We said the early laning prowess was where they needed to get a bit of momentum. The mid game was where they needed a spike. That never happened. TT's bot lane really finding these windows to punish in the 2v2. Smlz being caught out by Tahm, of all things. And then as the game went on, it just felt hopeless for WE.
Yeah, tough one for WE, to say the very least. But I mean, it was off of the back of a lot of, like, silly mistakes that WE's players are making. Like Smlz having a really bad game, uncharacteristically bad game, like getting caught out in the Ezreal so regularly. Bit of a tough one for him. And, you know, off the back of that, not able to find anything with this mid-jungle that you were talking about with the Lissandra Viego. They needed to be snowballing and not really... It didn't feel like this team was being proactive. It didn't feel like this team had that game plan solidly in their head and just slowly but surely fell apart.
Yeah, and I think a big note to Ucal, who... We, at the start of the day, we showed some clips from the LNGTT. I was so harsh on Ucal, deservedly. He looks fantastic.
I agree with what you said still.
He looked really good in this Ahri, consistently landing the charms in fights. What a night and day performance. Especially considering Chef has point and click stuns and Ahri actually have to aim them. And yet it looked like he just could not miss. So really well played from him on that Ahri pick, showing just some revitalization that we kind of need from him. But overall, TT just looked positive. And for WE, I think the draft should change going in this next game. But even like the draft, they still had win cons. They just were so far away from playing to them. This is definitely a bit demoralizing when both teams are at 0 wins. A series win here would be super important for either side. And that's such a convincing game one from TT. Definitely has to give some doubts to WE.
And honestly, quite often in the LPL, you start to see teams towards the bottom. It feels like they lose a bit of momentum, right? They lose a bit of faith that it's going to work out. We're only at 0-2. I'm really hoping we're not already seeing the start of that begin for WE, because I feel like when you look at the names on this roster, like Beishang, Xie, Smlz, at some points in their careers, have all been, at least, you know, in the upper echelons of their roles. It feels very disappointing to see this be a team that can't seem to get any win conditions working, can't seem to get on the same page.
Hey, we once again get the 100% kill participation. BiuBiu rocking it with the 1 kill. I feel like the kill participation stat is going to be so janky this split because there's been a few games like this where I think there was another one where everyone had 100% kill participation because they got 1 kill at the end where they killed a Shy on Jace. But either way, just really a fantastic performance coming out. And I love the bot lane. You know, Puff and SouthWind have definitely earned some criticism in their careers. Really finding windows on this Senna Tahm, really performing well and just not giving any room to breathe to Smlz.
Yeah, absolutely not. Very nicely done here. WE, a lot to work on for game number 2. We'll see if the 8-minute break will be enough for them to pull things together. Whether TT, the Thunder Chads, might actually get themselves a win on the board. We'll have to find out after the break.